So excited about what is happening with the Fever. And you look down the hall with the Pacers organization and the outpouring of support that we get from Kevin and from Chad and Rick and Jenny and the players really showing up.
The Indiana Fever just announced significant contract moves for Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark, but the true story is the number they would prefer you not to see. There's nothing festive about what's hidden in the fine print. This is a huge league-wide controversy that proves the WNBA's biggest star is being purposefully kicked out by its own regulations. The front desk is aware that losing the woman who saved their franchise on her own is not something they can afford. However, the antiquated system is attempting to compensate her for a little portion of her value. Professional women's basketball may undergo a permanent transformation as a result of the current crazy power battle. There are more than two players involved. This is about a league that is at a crossroads and must deal with decades of underpayment, antiquated collective bargaining procedures, and the escalating danger of competing organizations vying for its best players. The Fever are at the center of a crisis that has the potential to completely transform or destroy the WNBA. Take a moment to forget about the headlines. Let's discuss the actual money. The player that broke attendance records and generated $36 million in economic effect for Indianapolis, Caitlin Clark, is currently signed to a rookie contract worth an incredible $78,000 this season. Give it some time to sink in. $78,000. In most large cities, that pitiful amount is less than an entry-level salary. The fact that she is earning $100,000 for each speaking event during the off-season is so offensive that it's practically illegal. Consider that difference. One speech, 1 hour of her time, is worth more than her whole WNBA income each year. Clark might never receive the WNBA's full compensation, according to an agent who even acknowledged this. A living talking billboard for the league's massive pay gap is its greatest asset. Despite selling out arenas, boosting television ratings, and moving products more quickly than the league can stock it, she earns less than a mid-level corporate manager. When you break down the economics, they are astounding. Sales of Fever tickets have soared by more than 300% since Clark's arrival. When she plays, the average number of people watching Fever games on television has increased from 400,000 to almost 2 million. Sales of merchandise bearing her name and phone number have brought in millions of dollars. She is now the face of women's basketball, a phenomenon that goes beyond the game itself. Since her debut, WNBA's social media participation has skyrocketed, drawing in people who had never seen women's basketball before as her highlights frequently go viral. However, she is restricted to a salary that would not cover rent in many of the areas where she plays due to the strict terms of the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement. Even the league's own officials privately acknowledge that the system is so fundamentally flawed that it cannot be sustained. However, acknowledging the existence of an issue and resolving it are two quite different things. It wasn't the complete tale, either. The groundbreaking suggestion. A revolutionary change that might upend the rulebook is being forced by the blatant inequity of her present contract, which has ignited a fire under the Fever's front office. According to a leak from the Fever's camp, they are quietly drafting an extraordinary plan for Clark that would involve revenue sharing. Consider that. Distributing a portion of the team's earnings to a player. In other professional sports, where superstars frequently bargain for a portion of ticket sales, merchandise, and even broadcast rights, this idea is usual procedure. However, it would be completely groundbreaking in the WNBA. This is a last-ditch effort to get around the absurdly low pay cap set by the present collective bargaining agreements. In essence, the Fever are attempting to circumvent a system that was never intended to support a player with Clark's caliber. They are suggesting an idea that has never been implemented in the history of the WNBA. A hybrid compensation plan that would consist of her regular CBA pay plus a revenue-based percentage that would be closely correlated with her earning capacity and performance. According to people familiar with the talks, the plan might involve revenue splits from ticket sales, local television rights, and perhaps a portion of the influx of new sponsorship deals that have come in since Clark joined the team. The calculations are convincing. Clark might be looking at several $1 million a year, which would finally represent her true market value if she were to receive even a little 5% part of the extra money she has created. This is where things become more tricky, though. This is a bold move that essentially stakes the entire Fever's future on league owners agreeing to the WNBA's first non-CBA superstar contract. It creates a precedent that may completely upend the pay structure, if they approve it. All of the league's other top players would instantly call for comparable agreements. The disadvantage would be even more severe for tiny market teams who seldom make a profit. One tenet of the WNBA's ideology, the league's meticulously preserved competitive balance, could go in an instant. Additionally, the Fever could lose Clark to foreign leagues, the rival unrivaled league, or watch her quit professional basketball to concentrate on her much more lucrative endorsement deals and speaking engagements if the league rejects the proposal. It's a lose-lose situation brought on by years of budgetary restraint and cautious management. And everyone would be shocked by what transpired next. However, Clark is not the end of the contract turmoil. Firebrand, veteran now an unrestricted free agent, Sophie Cunningham is a vital voice on the Fever squad and Clark's tenacious defender. The shocking reality is that there is no proof that she has returned, which puts the Fever in a very bad place. Cunningham is more than just a player. She has come to represent WNBA players that are fed up with being ignored and underappreciated. Cunningham has publicly expressed her anger, using her position to call the WNBA commissioner a liar for supposedly downplaying Clark's star power and publicly denouncing the league's punishing regulations that penalize players for voicing their opinions. She has exposed the hypocrisy of a league that prides itself on the individuality and uniqueness of its players while threatening to impose steep fines on anyone who questions officiating league rules or front office choices. Her social media presence has served as a focal point for players throughout the league who feel marginalized by antiquated regulations and management that appears more interested in preserving power than encouraging advancement. She has amassed a following that goes far beyond basketball fans by sharing stories of other athletes who have been disciplined for speaking out, including screenshots of fine notifications and more. In a league that has traditionally opposed giving athletes a true say in their own fate, she has come to represent player empowerment. This isn't your average free agency deal. Before even considering rerunning it with a squad, this top player is using her platform to demand change. Even while she is undoubtedly underpaid, Cunningham has stated in numerous interviews and social media posts that money won't be the only factor in her decision. Systemic change is what she wants to see. She wants the league to cease looking for players who are genuine. Revenue sharing is what she wants. Rather than adhering to the 1996 foundation structures, she wants the WNBA to function like a contemporary professional sports league. The Fever are in a precarious situation. They need Cunningham's defensive tenacity, leadership, and rapport with Clark, but they are unable to guarantee her the adjustment she is seeking because league-level decisions, not franchise-level ones, make those choices. While she is demanding tangible action before she does anything, they are effectively urging her to return and have faith that things will be better. Additionally, the league is going to face increasing pressure. The fortunes of Clark's and Cunningham are now in jeopardy. With the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement about to expire, there is a very real and horrifying chance of a player strike or lockout. Players had little negotiating power and were eager for any season at all when the current CBA was negotiated in 2020, amid the pandemic. Nowadays, a lot of players and agents see it as a catastrophe that locked in low pay and onerous regulations at the worst possible moment. Tensions are stronger as ever as expiration draws near. Players have been organizing, planning, and holding private meetings in anticipation of what may turn out to be the most acrimonious labor dispute in WNBA history. They're not merely requesting minor adjustments. They're calling for a radical change in the league's operations. They demand guaranteed minimum incomes that genuinely enable players to live well without requiring off-season work or offshore contracts, increased pay caps, genuine revenue sharing, loosen limitations on outside income, and fewer penalties for voicing their opinions. A significant rival, the unrivaled league, has surfaced, promising players wages 3 times greater than the WNBA average for a mere 8-week season, further escalating the tension. There are some fly-by-night operations that are unmatched. Co-founded by WNBA superstars Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Keir, It has the support of major investors and has already signed more than 30 of the best players in the league for its first season. For only 8 weeks of labor, they are offering salaries as high as $100,000, along with revenue sharing, league equity holdings, and unrestricted flexibility to develop their own personal brands. For Cunningham, who is fed up with being underpaid and kept silent, and Clark, who has already made millions of dollars outside of the WNBA through endorsement deals with Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, and many other companies. This exit strategy is really realistic. They could continue all of their endorsement deals and side business endeavors while playing in an unmatched environment, earning a lot more money in less time, and avoiding travel and physical wear. The rival league poses more than just a danger. It is evidence that the WNBA is losing the fierce financial competition for its own players. There is cruel irony. For many years, the WNBA worked to establish respectability, cultivate talent, grow a fan base, and advance women's professional basketball. Now that the league is at last becoming well-known and making a legitimate profit, they run the risk of losing their best players to a rival that is only prepared to pay market value. The league is solely to blame for the issue, created as a result of years of cautious money management and opposition to change. However, the internal drama of the Fever just took a new turn. The franchise player herself intervened during the quiet from the front office. When Caitlin Clark posted a 5-word message on Cunningham's social media, the internet went crazy. It's time to run it back. Millions of people shared those 5 simple lines, which quickly became national news. Every sports commentator analyzed them, and they were taken as anything from a covert jab at league administration to a recruiting pitch to a pledge of commitment. The star made a clear public appeal for unity to her free agent teammate, demonstrating that the players' devotion to one another outweighs their devotion to the league's dysfunctional structure. Clark did not follow the proper procedures. She failed to communicate with PR representatives or collaborate with the front office.